Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at my latest acquisition. So grab yourself a frosty beverage, sit back, and let's get into this. Hey guys, I'm here from Transformers and Video Games, and welcome back to the channel. Before we get into the video, I just want to take a minute to give a quick shout out to a YouTube channel that I've just recently subscribed to called Toys R Us. Aside from having a very catchy name, this guy has an absolutely amazing Transformers collection with modern and vintage figures spanning the past 35 years. At the time of this upload, this guy's produced nearly 140 videos and has quickly become a very active member of the Transformers YouTube community. So do yourself a favor, check out his channel, and if you like what you see, be sure to subscribe for more. Now on with the featured presentation. Today we're going to be taking a look at a fan-made world's smallest homage to G1 Beachcomber. This is a custom figure produced by a seller called Ninja Hands that's part of a limited production run of only 20 figures. The figure is under 2 inches tall and boasts 5 points of articulation, just like the full-sized official G1 release. According to the seller's description, these figures are hand-assembled and every part used to make them is 3D printed in color, so there should be no concern about paint scratches. If you're a world's smallest Transformers enthusiast like me, then you know that there have been other unofficial WST figures produced over the past 10 years. One standout was a company called Just Eye Toys, who produced high-quality figures using die-cast metal parts, just like the G1 releases. However, one fan criticism was the fact that they were not in scale with the official WST figures that were produced by Takara a number of years ago. Having said that, the figure that we're looking at today is probably the smallest one in my entire collection, but more importantly, it's apparently in scale with the WST line. I'll be doing some size comparisons in this video to give you a better idea as to just how tiny this figure really is, so let's get right into it. Here's a top view comparison with G1 Beachcomber. From here you could see the amount of detail that's been included in Dune Buggy mode. Both versions have a molded driver and passenger seat. There's a tiny steering wheel, and if you look closely you can even see some identical detailing on the engine block. I don't know if it's really showing up on camera, but the colors are much lighter on the Ninja Hands custom. I'm not sure if that was intentionally done for animation accuracy, or perhaps there are just limited colors currently available for use with 3D printers. If you have any idea, leave me a comment in the comment section. The underside of the vehicle mode is accurate almost down to the very last detail, except for some molded details on the gray sections that will become the figure's upper thighs in robot mode. I don't know how easy it would be to produce a tiny set of fan-made custom stickers for this figure, but that would truly take it to the next level. If it was a larger third-party release, then perhaps Toy Hacks would produce a set, but for a 20-figure production run, I'm sure there's no chance of that ever happening. From the front, we get a great view of the headlights, and if you look closely, you can see that they've included identical molded detailing on the hood of the car. I actually have a sheet of tiny reproduction rub signs kicking around somewhere that I bought from Toy Hacks a number of years ago, back when they were still called repro labels. I'll likely stick one on the right side of the hood for a little bit more G1 accuracy. From the side view, you can see that just about the only detail that's been omitted is the grid pattern along the side of the vehicle between the two wheels. Speaking of the wheels, they understandably don't roll, so I'm not sure if they're glued in place, if they've been pinned from behind, or both. Here you can also see that the front wheel suspension behind the headlights has also been replicated. There's not a whole lot to say about the back side of the vehicle mode, but for anyone who's interested, here's a quick look. Okay, well, I wasn't going to do this on camera because I didn't want to risk potentially breaking the figure, but I'm going to go ahead and get into the transformation. The 5 points of articulation that I mentioned at the beginning of the video are all due to transformation, so I'm not going to bother covering that separately. To start things off, flip the legs around 180 degrees. pull the arms out at the sides, and position them any way you want. Then flip the head up 90 degrees, just like the G1 version of the figure. And that's it for the transformation. Now, I was having a really hard time handling this figure on camera due to its size, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time with it in hand. Having said that, one thing that I'm very impressed with is the fact that the figure has separate articulated legs and that they weren't molded together the way they did with some of the official Takara WST figures. If you look closely, you can see that there are also some light facial details in robot mode that anyone with a steady hand, a toothpick, and some paint could pick out for extra G1 accuracy. Overall, I think that Ninja Hands did a very respectable job on the figure in robot mode. The obvious first size comparison in robot mode is with G1 Beachcomber. If you couldn't tell when I had it in my hands, the figure is unbelievably tiny. Robot mode is obviously where the figure could most benefit from a few sticker details. I do have a tiny Autobot sticker that I may stick in the center of his chest just to give it a little bit more personality, but when it comes to molded details, Ninja Hands really hit it out of the park with this release. Now it's time for a few fun size comparisons. Here's the figure next to WST G1 Optimus Prime with his trailer. Here it is next to just the front cab portion of WST Optimus Prime. And here they are next to each other in robot mode. For anyone who has WST Optimus Prime, then you already know how small that figure is, but here you can see that it absolutely towers over the other figure. If you're not familiar with WST Optimus Prime, I did a detailed review of it on my channel for anyone interested in checking it out. Here are the figures interacting with a very G1 accurate, third-party version of Optimus Prime's trailer in battle station mode. For anyone in the market for one of these trailers, it was produced by a company called Hero Toys, and it's absolutely amazing. Here it is in vehicle mode, and for the record, it fits inside WST Optimus Prime's trailer for anyone who cares about that sort of thing. This is how it scales next to my Kabaya G1 Powermaster Optimus Prime. For anyone who collects WST figures, this is an amazingly tiny representation of Optimus Prime, and one that I would highly recommend, as long as you don't mind having to completely assemble the figure yourself, and then add the sticker details when you're finished. I'm not particularly good at putting models together, but I was able to do this one fairly successfully. Here's a size comparison that I think everyone can relate to, thanks to the Walmart G1 reissues. This is, of course, G1 Bumblebee, which is pretty small in its own right, but it looks quite large in comparison. Here they are in robot mode. I thought these G1 reissues were better quality when I first bought them, but I actually pulled the right foot right off my Bumblebee when I was transforming it for this video. I was able to get it reattached with no problems, but it's not an issue that I've ever experienced with any of my vintage versions of the figure. Okay guys, here we are with the figure back in Dune Buggy mode, and I think I'm going to leave it at that for today. This figure cost me $35 American, plus international shipping, and although it wasn't cheap, I honestly have no regrets picking it up. One thing that I should point out here is that the seller was very clear that these figures are fragile and are meant mainly for display or for very light play. It's a little bit late for me to recommend the figure, since I'm pretty sure that all 20 of them have sold by now, but it's still worth checking out some of the seller's newer customs to see if they're of any interest to you. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Take care.